Good evening, everyone. Before getting into the session, we'd like to wish all the great teachers out there a very happy Teachers' Day. Now, coming into our video, here we do have a drawing provided to us. I'll just try to zoom in and show it to you. There is a section view which is cut exactly at the center, and we do have a right view as well as the bottom view. Understanding the views is the first important thing. So, and considering this as the front view, this would be my right view, this would be my bottom view. There is also a detail view provided for you, which is detail A. This is to show you the feature in a more high scaled manner and also to show you the dimensions in a better way, as you can see. Apart from this, there are rounds. As you can see, there are many holes and there are features to features which are added one after the other. So let's try to begin making this model and then see how it works by following a feature based approach. This is a medium level of a component. It's not an easy one. We usually give this for an advanced level of training in part modeling, especially. So to begin with it, under start, we do have mechanical design and part. Since we are working in our part design, we'll simply click on part design only. Now, under this, understanding the drawing is the main thing. So first, considering this as the front view, I'd like to use this to make the profile and then start adding or removing the material as per the drawing. So first, let's try to add the material. We know that we have to add material using a pad command and try to make the exact sketch, or you can of course take a rectangle and also give a full round or a tritangent fillet. Anything you're comfortable with will work over here. Right now I'm comfortable by taking an arc and then closing it this way. This is a little more easier. Now let's constrain the sketch. Of course, the first thing we are supposed to do is that this is supposed to be 30, and we also know the distance from the center to the end is 65. The 65 is actually given here. Let's see why this is not constrained. Okay. The reason this is not constrained, it's because it's not, there's no horizontal constraint to it. So you can see it completely constrained. Now once you exit, the next thing to figure out is to how much you have to add the material to this profile. In the bottom view, they have given you that the material to be added is 18. So I'm just trying to take it as 18. There is a uniform thickness throughout the body, and there are few material added inside, as you can see in the section view. I like to do the complete removal of material first and then add the shapes little later. So the overall thickness is 2. So we can shell 2, but before shelling any body, the first and the foremost thing we are supposed to do is we have to give rounds. Before giving rounds, you cannot use the shell command. The reason is, I will try to explain it to you here. If I try to give rounds now, first and the foremost thing, they don't get reflected internally, as you can see. But by any chance, if this is more than 5, you can see that the material breaks itself. So it's normally not advisable to do shell before fillet. You have to do fillet first and then work on your shell. So I have 2 fillets over here at 5, as you can see. Let me try to do those and say okay. Now when I try to do the shell, it properly shells the body with the rounds. Now we can start adding the material one after the other. It's up to us how do we want to do it. So we have these 2 features starting at a distance of 11. So I'd like to take a plane from the top to a distance of 11 onto the other side. On this, we'll make the sketches as per our drawing. This is the new plane. Now, let me try to flip the model. The first one I'd like to do it is on the is on the circular side of the body. So under my reference, I'm using this, and I have these small circular rounds. The reason why I am making these first is because they are completely till the end of the base. After doing these, you can add these materials a little later. Now, this particular feature is actually not starting from there. I'm so sorry. This particular feature is starting from the face. I think they have selected the wrong reference. We'll start it from the face itself. So let me try to take the whole body as our reference and then slowly work on it. This, this as well as this is my references. Now let's try to make the profile. The profile is actually a semicircle of radii 3, as you can see. Actually, of it's not probably not radii 3. Yeah, it's radii 3. It's given on both the sides. So this is the center, this is my start point, and this is my end point. So on this, I'd like to give the radius as 3. I'd like to close this as well. So while closing, I can use the center because it's on the same line, and then I can close. Similarly, I have one over here which is at a distance of 25. Now let me try to take the semicircle first and then try to give the 25 dimension. This is supposed to be 3 as well. The distance of the center from the actual body center is supposed to be 25. This is your 0, 0. All the dimensions are actually being controlled from the center. I can mirror this onto the other side, so I do not want to repeat this, so I'll just use a mirror operation. So I can mirror it onto the other side. I have another one over here. Let me try to make that as well. You can increase the speed of the video if it's taking a lot, if it's taking up a lot of your time. Now, once we exit, it will ask you how much do you want to add. Instead of giving a dimension, we can actually give up to next because the material is supposed to be added till the next surface. As you can see, it adds the bodies. Now the next thing we can do is to add these features which are actually on the new plane which we have created. So I'm just trying to use a sketch on the new plane and start working on it. Let me try to flip the body. These are my references. And on this, I'd like to make the profile. The profile is actually a semicircle of radii 9 exactly at the center with two straight lines towards the end of your face. This is the first line and this is your second line. Now we can add the existing circle by considering this as the center from here to here, and then exit the workbench. Now this should be added up to the immediate next surface. You cannot give a dimension for it, so it's automatically added up to the end of your surface. If you are thinking this is causing an issue, you can also take the reference of the semicircle this way and then add the material too. That is also advisable. Similarly, again following the plane, similarly for taking a new pad, I'm selecting the plane as my sketch. Now again I'm flipping it. Here there is a rectangle which is located onto the other side of the body of this shape, which is 35 by 25. So I can directly take a rectangle from here and start dimensioning it. You can of course again remove the shape if you want. Now I'll just try to give the dimensions. This is 35 and this is 25. It's advisable if it's advisable to remove the shape. It's up to you again, depending on the requirement. You can. This is your addition of materials. Now, apart from this, you do have these added and these two as well. There is a problem is if you're trying to add this using a simple pad, it might not actually add the material till the rounded surface. So what we can do is we can either take a reference or we can directly work on our points. We can use our points to make the references and then work on our planes. The I can work on my planes. So I'm just taking a point, mirroring it onto the other side. And these two have to maintain 90 degrees. So they will maintain 90 degrees at no matter what. 90 distance, sorry. And this is at a distance of 57.5 from the center. So I'm just giving that as well. This is the distance to the center of the arc, which is this. 90 is to the end. So since 90 is to the end, when I take a plane, making it parallel through a particular point, since 90 is to the end, it can automatically take the addition of material properly. I have not given center to center dimension anywhere. Now, over here, the addition of material actually begins in the form of a rectangle from the corner. I can again start giving constraints, or of course we can constraints and coincident over here. We know the distances as well. This is supposed to be 15 and the height is supposed to be 6. Now, while adding this, you have to add it up to the next face because it takes the shape exactly as we need it. The same can be mirrored onto the other side with respect to the center plane. So you can see the mirror feature onto the other side. The same process can be followed with these supports as well. So I'll just try to make a sketch first. I'm just using any plane. I just need references because they have to maintain a certain dimension towards the end. So when I'm taking a point can be anywhere. The only problem is it should maintain the dimension correctly. So I can mirror this onto the opposite side and the distance between these two is supposed to be 25. So the distance between these two, I'm giving it as 25. Now, if I take a plane at one location, that should be enough. And I have also maintained my dimensions instead of actually subtracting or adding anything new. So exactly with maintenance of my dimensions, I can create the profile. This is my reference. I'm sorry for taking a 3D view. I don't want to get the round. Now, from here, this is my base. So from there, we'll make this sketch as you can see. Okay. Now, starting with the profile, of course, it goes this way. Sorry. It goes this way and then an arc and then again joins it here. This is the shape which we require to add the material. You can use a stiffener command also. Now we know that the distance from the center is provided to us which is 76. So from the center to this center is actually 76 and we also know that this is R5. Let's try to maintain tangencies between this and then exit. This is supposed to be added onto the other side. The reason why it's supposed to be added onto the other side is because we have taken these ends and not the inner ones. That is only up to 5 as shown in the drawing. The same thing can be mirrored onto the other side using a mirror and then say okay. This is how you add material one after the other using simple pad commands and your references which are your planes etc. Now we can drill holes one after the other as usual. So let's try to drill the first one which is located on this face and they have a particular dimensions given for it. As you can see from the center, this dimension is supposed to be at 40. And it should be coincident on the horizontal face. Now the dimension of this is 14 and is actually through. Let's try to get it through. Now there's also another hole over here which is 10 through. I can give that as well. Before giving these, I want to use my pattern, so I'd like to give these holes as well. I'd like to maintain concentricity. Then give 10. Now, I'd like to use pattern for both 1, 2, 3, 4 folds as well as for the holes here. So let me try to make a sketch first and then try to use the patterns. So first I'd like to make a point here and then mirror it onto the other side. Similarly, I'd like to make a point in line with this and then mirror it onto the other side. There are dimensions given for it, which is 14 and 14. Now, they should be in line with this center. So let me try to use this as my reference and then create a center line in a vertical manner with 0 and then maintain symmetry as well. Okay, great. Now I'd like to give my feature here. The diameter for this particular one is actually 3 and it's up to next. 4 into 3 means that there are 4 holes. So I'd like to use pattern here and I can use point pattern. Actually, you can use distance pattern also. It's a little, it's easier as well. Similarly, I'd like to make a sketch here too. Place a point and then make it concentric with this. Similarly, a point here as well. I have two constraints to give here. First is coincidence and then concentric. Same, I can mirror this point onto the other side. I cannot mirror these points, so I'm just trying to take another point here too. And pretty much do the same thing what we have done a minute ago. Now, start trying to give your feature here. The actual hole is 4 into 2.5 dia with depth of 9. So I'll just try to select the point and the face and then give 2.5 with a depth of 9. And it has a V bottom. So let me try to change it to a V bottom and say OK. Similarly, this can be patterned with the defined points and you can see the there are holes onto these and these as well. So before that, let me try to give a tritangent fillet to this. So I can give a round using the concentricity feature. Similarly to this too. Now let's try to drill our holes exactly at where we want them. This is the first one, which is of 6 dia. And 6 dia. This can be mirrored onto the other side because it's the same feature which has been used onto the other side. So I'm just using a mirror feature. Same manner, I can do it here as well. The hole there is actually 4 dia. So I'm just trying to take 4, maintaining concentricity, and then I'm taking 4. I can similarly mirror this with respect to the center plane. It does it mirror onto the other side. These are actually your holes as per the drawing. Finally, there are few rounds which we have to give. Let's try to give those. I'd like to give R5s first. So I'm trying to take R5s. This is R5. Similarly, I have R5 at this corner as well. And that's pretty much of R5s. Then next, let's try to give R6, which is over here as well. Now, this is the first one. This is the second one, which is R6. Similarly, we have few R3s as well, which are on the ends of these. So let's try to give those two. These are R3s. These are your models. There is one more round actually at this location. as you can see. So that's all, that also comes under R3. Let me try to edit and add these two to those two, so it won't create an issue, as you can see. Now there's one more 2.5 which is located at these edges. So let me try to give that as well. Pretty much all the rounds. That gives us pretty much all the rounds, which is 2.5. This is your final model. There are two chamfer operations which are actually supposed to be done on this edge as well as this edge, which is 1 by 45. As you can see, C1. So I am just saying, okay, these are your chamfer operations. This is a medium level component of part modeling using CATIA as a CAD tool. We do have more advanced level of trainings available. If you're interested, our details are given in the description below. Meanwhile, if you're looking for a section view, I can actually show you the section view as well. Please like and subscribe to our channel for more tutorials. Thank you.